Welcome, everybody. My name is Kevin Durkin. I am the CEO from Quant-Tek. Today on Pioneers in Production, or Production Pioneers, I apologize. I'm thrilled to welcome Laura McCann, CEO and founder of Aura Therapy, joining us all the way from Asheville, North Carolina's historic district of Grove Arcade. Is that correct?
That's great. Hi. Nice to
Laura
meet
is a serial entrepreneur with over 30 years of experience who've made a remarkable transformation from high-achieving fashion executive in New York to a wellness pioneer. After discovering how the stress was impacting her health and relationships, she found healing through aromatherapy and energy work. That led her to create Aura Therapy, Asheville's first aromatherapy perfume shop, offering scent with intent, essential oils, and innovative aura reading services. This is what I want to find out about. So, welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. That sums it all up.
I did a good job on the research. Huh?
You did.
So, what was the pivotal moment that led you from fashion design to creating Aura Therapy?
So I'd always been in the design and manufacturing and sourcing spaces, started out in fashion in the late 80s in New York City, and then was a IT consultant in fashion tech, kind of moved my career into web and marketing as things kind of moved in that direction where brands were going online. And so I've always been an early adapter for sort of like the tech piece. And as a result, like where was a great place to blend all my expertise? It was building my own brand, something that I had never done. I built a lot of products for other brands, private brands. So Aura Therapy really brings together my background, and I love, trend, packaging, color, sourcing, telling stories, and having my own brand and having retail stores. It just kind of all came together, and here I am with 2 stores, one in Miami and one in Asheville, and business that is omni-channel. So really cool, very complicated, very busy person doing all that.
Okay. So you've got, we'll talk about the omni-channel as we get going. That's really interesting. But your tagline's adore yourself. How'd your personal healing journey shape this philosophy and bring you to Aura Therapy?
Great question. So I started my entrepreneurial journey really young. I was 26 years old when I started my first business. I grew that to like a $50 million business in New York City in the apparel industry. And I was also a young mom and commuted from New York to New Jersey, traveled to China and Hong Kong, was away 4 or 5 months out of the year. Did that for about 10 years. And of course, I burnt out. It was really hard on my body. I was young. I didn't have any, tools. I didn't understand anything about what I was doing in terms of the impact of my ambition, or also like, how I was using my energy to solve problems, deal with the stress. And so it eventually created a health problem. In that healing journey, of course, I did medicine, but there was a lot of things that I didn't understand about the energetic me and ways that I was not tapped into my body. I was all very much in my mind. And I was introduced to different healing modalities. And as somebody who's very analytical, I was like, that's too woo, that's too woo-woo, that's too this, that's too that. And so there were things that could help me that I couldn't really accept because of how it was being presented. And when I found things that worked, I was like, how do I bring these to other people like myself, package them up so that they're easier to understand and everybody can benefit? So Aura Therapy and this idea of adoring yourself really comes from, my healing came from adoring myself, learning to love myself, realize I'm amazing. There was nothing wrong. I didn't have to fix anything. And then learning how to breathe and taking that breath and using breath as a healing tool was really a big part of how I could bring that to my desk, to my day, to my every part of my life, because I would choose working over meditation, choose working over a yoga class. Like, I need to get that thing to happen quick, because what I want to do is solve problems, keep busy, get it done, right? So Yeah, I liked bringing that opportunity to other people, and that's where the brand comes from.
Nice. How's your leadership style evolved across the 30 years of
Oh God, what a
changing
great
from,
question. Yeah,
yeah,
super. I remember in the old days, right? Because I could say that I was in a group called YEO, and we'd get together with a bunch of CEOs and we'd have like a forum meeting, and everybody would just be talking about their employees. So back in the day, always the hardest part of a business for a CEO is the employees. I think as a result, after having multiple businesses, because I've had other businesses since, I had a lot of businesses where it was smaller teams and more solo. And I think I did that on purpose because dealing with the people thing was a big thing. So when I went back into this business where I have people who work in my retail store, people who work in my factory, and let's just face it, the generational changes, communication tools, everything is so different now. I really wanted to honor things that I learned about being a more emotionally intelligent person, but also trying to leave people where I find them better than I find them. And so I kind of use more of a coaching and more of a, I'd say, accepting tone in my HR and in my leadership, because I find this generation, especially, some of the things that are more hierarchical don't work at all. And so that's how I'm doing it. Also feels more heart centered, is how I would explain it. And that's helping me also have it stay more in integrity with like who I am and what matters to me in my life.
interesting. Thanks. How do you educate customers about the scent with intent concept,
Very
and
challenging.
how'd
Yeah.
that come about? Yeah.
Yeah, so not only are we in the scent category, but we are not traditional perfume. Traditional perfume would be like what you find at the duty free store or in the mall or in the department store. And those are perfumes and scents made with alcohol and fragrance oils, which are usually chemical derivatives. We do aromatherapy, and aromatherapy is made with natural plant-based scent and oils, seeds, everything from lavender to cinnamon to lemon, patchouli. As a result, they're very healing and vibrational, and they're energetic, and they have beautiful smells. So we make scents that are intentional, that are made to help you take intentional breaths. You wouldn't want to breathe in your perfume the way you would breathe in our products, because you'd cough, sneeze, and also maybe have, get sick, because that's what a lot of fragrance is. It's so chemically disruptive. Our scents are really designed to wear, absorb through the skin, the nose. And so that's why we say they're intentional scent.
Yeah, I just read something about it inhibits or it hurts the endocrine system or
Yeah.
something like that. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Um, how do you balance being a wellness brand while building a profitable business?
I think most businesses today can be profitable. Where you end up with sort of that scale is marketing. Marketing is very expensive. So being a brand is all about getting your products out there, giving them away, finding all those influencers, sampling, doing events, a lot of things that cost money, and the ROI is a little bit less tangible, but it is definitely all about like finding bigger audiences, getting them to know you. I'd say being profitable is also about understanding your price points and being a very good sourcer and building your cost of goods and your gross margins to understand that you're going to take all those things from marketing to sales costs out of the top line so that there's something left over. And I like to work at the highest margin possible so that I have what I need left over to do the rest. And that's why I have a vertical business and I manufacture my own products.
Interesting. So, I'm not sure if I read this online. Melissa had mentioned it to me, but and I just set it up top here. What the Aura reading software?
Yeah.
What's that, and
Yeah. So,
what's been the customer's response to this technology?
So many years ago, I went to Chinatown and had an aura reading. It was a special kind of camera that, and you put your hand on these metal plates, and the camera made a picture of you with colors all around you, your aura. And your aura is your energy field, and it does show up in certain kinds of cameras as those colors. What I didn't love about that experience is when the person was explaining to me what it all meant, it was sort of very much like interpretive. I was researching this technology because I thought it was cool and I thought it might be a good gimmick. And along the way, we found a different approach, not camera based, but software based, with a hand scanner that brings in biometric information. It was developed by a company who used it for Reiki and other kinds of healing, and it was developed in a research lab at a university. So it was a real tech, right? And what was really fascinating about it is that you would scan, you could take a picture, and you could get a 14-page report, and the report was filled with data. So you already heard I'm very analytical. To me, the idea that I could understand my energy field, get data, I saw an opportunity to use this as a customization and personalization solution. And it also just so happened that your aura is generated by your chakras, which is the energy in your body. There's 7 key points. You can call them energy centers, wheels, whatever you want to call them. Chakras is one of the term we use. And you could see your chakras on a chart with numbers. So you really had like data that could help you understand like what you were doing with your energy to heal. And we had a chakra line of aromatherapy. So what happened is this kind of became the top of the funnel. Someone gets an aura reading, it's like their prescription, and then they can go buy the aromatherapy to help with their healing. That's the solution. And so in a retail setting, this has just been fantastic and people love it.
I was going to say, what? My next question is, how does it differentiate you? Well, it's right there, isn't it?
Yeah.
Wow, that is really interesting. So, what's been the most surprising thing about your customers' healing journeys? Have you seen any great stories on this? Or?
Totally, yeah. You know, at the beginning of the business in retail, I worked in the store for about 3.5 years before we hired a team of people to run that store and open the other store in Miami. So I've literally done about 4,000 or 5,000 aura readings with my partner. So my partner, Jim, is the aura reader. I'm the healer and help with the aromatherapy. I'm more like the shop person. And so, yeah, seeing that many people's auras and chakras, we started to build like a data set. You know, you mentioned that's something that you do with your business. So we are writing a book. It should come out this fall. It's about aura reading, and we take what we've learned and we distill it into a very beautiful graphical book that explains your chakras, your aura, and then shares all these different things people do with their energy. And there is a correlation between like what you like to do, your job, your colors, you know, if you have health issues, emotional issues, it all shows up in all of these things. And so this is a really new way to look at yourself. Think of it as like a body, mind, spirit x-ray.
That's wild. I'd hate to see what mine looks like.
There are no black auras. There are no bad auras. You know, your chakras can be high or low, but, you know, most people are doing some things really well, and we all have a few things we need to work on.
Interesting. So you've pivoted from wholesale to DTC to retail, direct to customer, sorry. Do you currently sell in all 3 models? You said an omni-channel. I was kind of curious as to how you're positioning and how you're doing all that.
Yeah, so when we started out, initially we were a product company. When we added the aura readings, we added a service, right? And then as we started to grow, we had been doing wholesale during COVID. Like a lot of people, we pulled away from wholesale, primarily served the spa industry. In the last year, we've gone back on that journey. And because we do aura reading at events, we've added an event business. We are also in the process of renovating an old church here in Asheville and turning it into an event space. It'll also house our factory. And so we're really omni-channel, and not just that, we do, you know, DTC, wholesale, and we do
you'll have multiple retails.
Yeah, but we also do events and things like that.
Okay. So that kind of leads into what's your current customer acquisition strategy? How do you get them in the door? How do you get them to buy
Oh man,
online?
yeah. So in online, all the DT strategies you can think of, we do them. Marketing, we do organic, we do paid, affiliate, influencer, SEO, email, uh, lots of stuff. Trying to build out the Shopify stack with all the things to do the DTC piece. In wholesale, trade shows are coming back, but we also do a lot of email and CRM things. And then on the event side, it's a little bit more like high touch because we're, trying to find partners and do things in spas and retail stores, pop-ups, things like that. So
Nice.
I'm always working with technology, process, and then a lot of creative storytelling, graphics, copy. And then, we've been using AI more and more to help with all of that, which has been really helpful and helps us do a lot more than we could do before.
I'm going to get into that, so hang on to that one, okay?
Yeah.
Um, wow. So you've explored live stream marketing platforms. Like, have you seen anything like? I just saw this the other day, and I'm not familiar with the online stores. I know Shopify and I know all that, but Whatnot? Have you heard of that?
Haven't done that. We've done some live stream. A lot of the stuff with live stream is if you have to get an audience to show up when you're live streaming. Otherwise, you're just recording. That's still very hard for small brands to do. It's like asking somebody to come to dinner. Everybody's busy. So we don't find live streaming is the best format for us. One of the things that I've done that I really enjoy is a little bit like what you're doing. I have a series called People We Adore, which is an Instagram live and a blog. And we reach out to people that are in our network that we love, that are doing cool things. I interview them, we write a blog, and then we benefit from sort of them sharing that with their network. And we're building like a beautiful community that way. And that's kind of how we're kind of doing the live thing right now through the
Interesting.
Instagram. Yeah.
Cool. We've spoken a lot about the retail and your business that way, but we haven't touched on manufacturing your products. How do you balance everything from that? Like you just said, it's a vertical, doing the manufacturing all the way to distribution and
Yeah. I
really
mean,
B2C.
It's very hard if you're in the beauty or consumer goods to do small quantities, fast turns, and then also have the margins. And then nowadays, shipping is almost more expensive than almost any of your components. So if you have to ship a product to someone who's making it, ship it back, warehouse it, all of that. When you add it all up, there's no way to bring a product to market at the price that you need to. So I just leaned on my sourcing skills, figured out how to get all my raw materials and import them at like the best prices in the right quantities, and then learned how to do everything from blending to filling to shipping. And we do it all in-house. And it's the only way to go because it gives us elasticity and it gives us the margins that I want to have a business that I think will be differentiated also because we control every aspect of that.
Yeah. Well, since COVID and now with the tariffs, how's sourcing been for
Yeah.
you? What was that like?
So, we're in Asheville and the hurricane hit and we got
Oh,
hit. Our two storage spaces that were filled with inventory were flooded up to the ceiling and we lost everything. At
oh,
the
sorry.
time, it was September, right, of last year. Heartbreaking, financially difficult. We did get some grants, but on the other side of that, we knew that there was this conversation about tariffs. So we took the opportunity to rebrand at that time. And so we did a rebranding project and we went and we placed orders for all the product and we hunkered down and redesigned all of our packaging to get like version 3.0, right? Because we were on version 2.0. And we got all of our orders in and we had a mandate to get everything in before the new president came in. And so I'm happy to say that we avoided all the tariffs and we were in a really good position. Since then, since we're pretty stocked up, we've waited for some of these tariff breaks to go and do some new orders. But yeah, we're hoping that by the time we need to replenish. We're not going to have to deal with it too much longer. So
Yeah, I did a podcast the other day. The gentleman bought a year and a half's worth of inventory prior to Trump taking office. So, I
yeah,
mean, he really thought it through. It's pretty interesting.
we did this.
Um, so let's talk a little bit about digital marketing strategies. What works best during your pandemic transformation? Have you rolled out of it and come with new thinking? And
Yeah, I
there's
mean,
a lot happening too
yeah,
with the digital.
digital just keeps changing. I'm happy to say that we were on Shopify. We had used to be on Magento, which was not the best platform. We transitioned to Shopify about 6 or 7 years ago. With that came me kind of the learning curve of learning everything about it and really digging in and getting some coaching and getting some consulting. But mostly it's been trial and error and figuring it out myself. I've never met anybody who can come into my business and tell me what I specifically need. So I'm constantly reading and absorbing all the stuff and trying new tools and hacking things together to figure out what's going to make the most sense. The hardest thing for us has been that the paid channels haven't worked yet. We're still working on trying to figure out how to make that happen. After COVID, you had the whole meta thing where, the Apple phone and the, privacy. And so, things were costing more, things were costing less. Nobody knew how to do it, AI. So we're still working on scaling that. And so we're trying things that I say are a little bit different to figure out if we can find a sweet spot that isn't like the traditional journey. I think the traditional journey works for somebody who has venture capital, can throw a ton of money at stuff and also have negative ROI. When it's your own money, it really hurts to not get, a break even or a 1x or more. So you just try until you figure out what seems to work.
Awesome. So again, I ran into something the other day, and it's a question I always ask: Do you face any challenges from a regulatory standpoint?
Oh,
Health?
we don't. So, there was a lot of talk about MOCRA, which is a new law that impacts manufacturers of beauty products. The law is still kind of like, weird. And then now with the new stuff happening there in the FDA and stuff like that, I don't think it's going to go through as planned. It also only affected people who did over $1 million in manufacturing. So we didn't really fit in that. And then aromatherapy as a category has no regulatory anything. By the way, perfume doesn't either. So it's just kind of scary when you think about it.
Okay. You're from what I understand, you're expanding into body care and candles. So new products are a question that I was going to ask about. How do you introduce those? How do you bring them to market?
Yeah. So, you look at sort of like what in your category makes sense, and we're scent based. So you can add scent to lots of different things. Candles are a little different for us because it's a small piece of our business, but it was something that we wanted to try. We have a few candle SKUs, but they perform really well because people understand them. It's not complicated to buy a beautiful candle that smells good and looks good. Other products that we bring to market need a lot more explaining. Like we do water-based aura sprays. We do something called an aroma perfume, which is a water-based essential oil perfume. And those are things that are very hard to explain. And that's why I feel like we're still quite niche. People haven't figured out that they want that versus the chemical stuff. So it's very much like, how do you tell a wellness story when scent is still not a wellness story?
Well, do you think with the people going back to eating whole foods and natural foods, you see people talking about shampoos and soaps all the time and how they climb into your skin. I would think that there'd be more and more people rolling your way.
I think you're right. When I started in this space 10 years ago, we were sold in a Whole Foods, right? A health food store, a co-op, maybe a pharmacy. Little by little, we moved into more what I'll call beauty because you wanted to be in more of like a specialty retailer. Today, every beauty, the clean movement happened. That happened like 5 or 6 years ago. And now everybody whose beauty wants to be wellness. So it's literally like it's flipped. I was at the beginning, and sometimes you're too early. You mentioned things about trends. One of the things that I've done in my career is I'm a trend hunter, and I find trends like at the beginning. Being early is always complicated and expensive because people have to catch up. But the good news is we're in a great position now, really understand what we're doing, how we're doing it to capture this. And wellness is a big thing. The bigger market today is what they're calling wellness hospitality, because it used to be that maybe these products sold in a spa, but now there's a bigger picture than the spa. There's all these, real estate companies that are getting into building out entire brands where they're holistic and they have a spa and a gym and a retreat and you want to be a part of that. To me, that's like the bigger market than going into like an Ulta or a Sephora.
Okay. So what's your vision then for scaling Aura Therapy? Maybe opening other branches, new production. I just heard that you're going to be changing your production, so that's interesting. Give me a look-see down the future for you.
Yeah, so we have 2 stores now. We feel like we'd like to be in New York, in LA. 7 stores, 7 chakras. That's kind of like what we're planning on right now. And then really growing the event and wholesale business, and then the DTC. So it still will be omni-channel with a few more stores. I'm doing this with my own capital, so I'm going at the pace where I can pay to pave the way for the next thing. Not interested in raising outside capital, so we're trying to be fiscally responsible, profitable first, and then grow from a place where we can scale safely.
Interesting. So what KPIs matter to you most right now? What are the things that you really measure?
Yeah, so I feel like right now you're always obviously looking at your top line revenue, but profitability and gross margin is equally important, if not more. And then growth. Again, if you're venture backed, you look at metrics very differently because you throw money at it. And so all you do is look at, certain things. Because we're not just online, I can't look at things like CLV, customer lifetime value, or conversion, or typical online metrics, because my business right now is still 60% retail. So there I'm looking at sales per square foot, returning customers, other things. So it's a complicated business because I have lots of KPIs, but how I feel good about moving forward is just seeing growth, and growth looks like something's working. Growth and profitable growth.
So if you had unlimited resources for this 1 year, what would you do first? What would you invest?
Gosh, that's such a great question. I'd probably open stores, faster, knowing that they may take a year to 18 months to kind of become break even. But a store can break even very quickly if you pick the right location, you have a strong team. And so that's capital intensive. It's also people intensive, training intensive. And that's why we kind of haven't been doing it so fast, because it's a lot. But I think that would be how I would spend that money.
Interesting. I'm going to switch into some industry trends, and we'll talk a little bit about AI because you stepped on it before. Are you using AI in any part of your business? Sales, marketing, manufacturing, logistics?
Everything. I use it. I'm a superpower user. I wake up in the morning and I talk to ChatGPT. That's the one I use. And I have it be everything from my CEO coach to my manager roles, right? Like if I need something, it answers the question. I use it for a lot of copywriting, saves me a lot of time. I also use Midjourney and Discord for images for a lot of our assets that we use for social media and emails. And then I haven't done anything specifically automated around AI. So it's still very much like input and take out, but I use it all day long. I have no objection to it. I don't think it's the end of the world. I feel like I'm 61, so I feel like I'm like probably how my grandparents felt when somebody told them there was a thing called TV or a car, and I'm like, yay, I get that this is a wave. I want to be on it. I want to ride it. I don't want to be obsolete. I want to learn how to use it. I meet a lot of young people who are against it. And the thing that always cracks me up is they're not using it and they have no idea what it does, but they'll tell you every reason why you shouldn't use it, can't use it, and why it's bad for the world. So I don't know, maybe that's going to make people angry, but I'm saying it.
Well, I had the same problem. I'm in the Midwest. When I got into AI 6 years ago, I was so early in it. I used to say they can't even spell AI, let alone pay for it. So it was, oh my God, that's the devil.
Yeah.
And I've been in technology my entire career, and I always found that it's no different than a car or a gun. It can be used for good or it can be used for bad.
That's
it all
correct.
depends on how you use it, and
Yeah.
just become professional, proficient at it anyway. So,
Yeah. It's definitely an area that I'd like to continue to bring into my business. I try to get all of my people to work with it and use it. Um, I think it's an amazing tool, but you have to definitely feed it, prompt it, train it. I've been doing that. I love it. I think it's incredible.
yeah, you mentioned input output. Have you thought about any kind of strategies for using it um, more in process?
I don't know
And
if I have enough, I would like to. I'm not sure I have enough processes where I could use it that are like that require that automation, but totally would love to explore it because otherwise my process is post-it notes.
now, you said something about the aura reading, and I thought, this is kind of interesting. Can the aura reading be scientific, or is it much more somebody really understanding it, kind of a gut thing? And
No, I mean, in this case, what they're using biometric information. So they're using, some kind of hand reader that's putting, some pulse, and it's using your body as the instrument to measure. So you couldn't replace that. Obviously, there are questions you could ask, but you definitely have to do like a A/B testing to see if questions, because most of it's going to be subjective. I've seen a lot of people who say like, I think my throat chakra is blocked, and then they have a big throat chakra. So you can't really detect this. It's not something that you sense really.
no, what I meant was, would AI be able to read the readings and then put it
Oh, well,
so that you could do it kind of remotely? Is what I was.
yeah, it can't yet because I mean, if somebody there's probably going to be like something you can put on your iPhone and you could scan yourself on your iPhone and get an aura reading. I'm sure that's happening. I'm not building it.
Yeah.
So, that there, I don't see
Well,
why that couldn't happen.
well, have you heard of a tool called Replit?
No,
REPLIT?
not Replit.
It's an interesting tool because you can take the data. You actually can write your code. It'll write the code for you. You just tell it what you want.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
Oh, that's cool. I
Yeah.
love software. I had a software business. I had a product lifecycle management software business in the early 2000s in the fashion industry. I was an early person in that market, and I love building software. I feel like right now I wouldn't know where to begin, and it's too much work.
So, what advice would you give to entrepreneurs building an authentic wellness brand today in an AI-driven market?
Ooh, a lot of the things that AI has helped me with around my brand voice and, you know, storytelling and creating copy, like I probably would have been able to do things a lot faster and with a lot more certainty if I'd had that. But like I've been doing this now for over 10 years, and I'll tell you, I've redone everything now that I have AI. Like there's not a single thing that doesn't get kind of put through that lens or that filter to understand like how to write SEO better, like how to do certain things that used to take hours and hours, but specifically copy intensive things, and do them so much faster. That is definitely so. A brand today, use it, build out. But I think the biggest thing that changed our trajectory was having a retail store, because we were able to be in front of the customer. I personally understood the value prop and what all the opportunities were and could leverage them. I never had that learning when I sold wholesale, and I relied on my customers to tell me how my product was doing. Never, ever could have figured any of the things out that I figured out if I had kept in that, that model.
What really, I'm interested. What kind of feedback what's the difference in feedback loops?
Yeah, so the feedback loop is especially with scent. So, when we do an order reading, they see their graph with the chakras and they have highs and lows. We make them smell, we ask them to smell every scent for every chakra. And we have a perfume oil that they can do that. And you literally could see, I like this, I don't like that. One of the things we noticed, which was fascinating, is because essential oils are vibrational and they have sort of like a frequency. When somebody was low, they usually didn't like or couldn't smell the scent where they were low. And they would gravitate towards the things where they're already high, which kind of makes sense because it's like attracts like. So what we would do is we would then be able to say, well, okay, well, but you see you're low here. So we want you to work on these two, get these two, work with them. It's like medicine, you may not love them, but then get one you love and use that one too. And so what was magical about that is instead of selling one chakra oil, we'll sell 3. Now we sell a kit with all 7, and that's our best seller because they want all of them. And then, understanding how to test, understanding the stories to tell for each scent, understanding if they like a spray or this, or if they want a crystal, or if they want something else. And so I did every part of that. And then I could take that and say, like, now I can train my people, have stores, have employees, train aura therapists. We now have about 8 people trained to be aura therapists, but it wouldn't be something that you could just open a store and it's not like having a salesperson, right? You have to train them in all of it. Very consultative. So yeah, that was the learning, and it was fascinating.
Well, I would think too that would lend to a higher end product brand and higher margins. So
absolutely. And then the packaging, when you set up a store and you're doing displays, you're like, does this box stand up? Does it fall over? Do I need a display? Can you read on so I had a pop-up store in my store in Miami with about 30 other brands, and they were in there for a while, and I got to see all these other brands. Half the boxes I couldn't read the words. They were printed so small. You couldn't understand from looking at it what the story was that they were telling. It's like, it's so challenging to have a box and a bottle and it conveys your whole story. The beauty of having your own store is you can tell the whole brand story, the colors, the packaging, the displays, the furniture, the vibe, right? And I can't do that if I put my product on a shelf somewhere else. It's not going to sell. It's not going to move.
That completely makes a lot of sense. So,
yeah.
Well, we're coming up on the end here. I could ask you a million more questions. I do have one quick question. We were talking about Asheville. We're talking about Miami. And I understand the 7 cities. I mean, quite frankly, New York, Chicago, Dallas, LA,
yeah.
Denver, Seattle, San Diego. How long ago did you open the Miami store?
It was last year. So last August. It's not quite a year.
So Asheville's not the biggest town in the world. I was just down there literally 6 weeks ago. I think it was. How's Miami compared to the Asheville store? Is it growing? Has it been? What's that ride been like?
Yeah, it's growing. When we had the store in Asheville, we were starting out. We didn't have a lot of money, so we didn't do a lot of marketing. But we were in a great premium location, so we had also tons of tourists at the time. Even during COVID, after COVID, it was just growing. Even the airport's growing, right? If you've been here not long ago, you could see like there's a lot of people coming to Asheville. Of course, the hurricane set everything back. So Miami, we started it right before. I'm so glad because it would have been really challenging to just live off of Asheville. But we had to invest. And one of the things we learned is doing print ads. doing, more influencer stuff, doing events and things like that. Our store in Miami is about 1,200 square feet. Our store in Asheville is about 400 square feet. So in Miami, we've made it more the headquarters, and we're doing more things there, new things, different things, because we have more space. It's a completely different market, and that was something that was a learning curve. And like anything, it's going to take about 18 to 24 months to get some leverage. But the area we're in, which is Wynwood, is really developing, and it's getting a lot of new gentrification, and it's a hot spot. The difference in Miami is there's not a lot of walkable retail real estate, and also real estate you can afford because you're competing with, major global international brands and things like that.
Yeah, unless you're down on the beach and up against Louis Vuitton and all those guys.
District, you can't get in. So in
Dior.
Wynwood, we're like across the street from us, I have a Warby Parker, a Marine Layer, a Majuri. Those are global brands. They are on other places, but there's a lot of brands that are more indie. Miami doesn't have a real indie shopping area. It has a lot of high end and mall. So we were lucky to get in. I'm very grateful, and I can't wait to see how it goes.
Yeah, and you get to go down to Miami every now and then.
Yeah, I'm living in Miami half the year, so it's not bad. Yeah.
Well, thank you for joining us today. Really enjoyed it a lot. You are really an interesting lady. I'd love to talk to you further.